In this video, I'm going to show you how to make 3 different types of Halloween meringue treats. Hi there, my name is Carly and welcome back to my channel, Adventures in Yum, bringing you delightfully delicious food videos that I hope will inspire you to go on your very own food adventures. If you're new to my channel, I share recipes for sweet treats and savory eats, food reviews, and yes, some cocktails too. If that sounds awesome to you, please consider subscribing. Meringues are crunchy cookies that only contain a few ingredients: egg whites, granulated sugar, cream of tartar, extract, and a little bit of salt. That's all there is to it. These cookies are also gluten-free, dairy-free, and nut-free, so they're a great sweet treat to have if you have dietary restrictions or allergies. The meringue recipe for these cookies is on my website, so you can find the link in the description below. Before we start making fun Halloween-themed cookies, we have to whip up the meringue base. Once the meringue can hold stiff peaks, you know that it's done and you can separate it into a few different bowls to mix in different colors, just like the black meringue you see here. On a side note, when using parchment paper, place a tiny amount of meringue in each corner to secure the parchment paper to the baking sheet. You definitely don't want the paper sliding around while you're trying to pipe on it. Last year was when I first tried piping meringues in fun Halloween shapes. I have even more ideas this year and I'm so excited to try them. Let's get to it. First, we're going to pipe some simple dollops of meringue to make fun Halloween shapes. First step, I'm piping some ghosts. Use a Wilton 1A tip to pipe white meringue into a body shape. To smooth the tops of the ghosts, simply dip your finger in a little water and gently smooth the top. Make sure not to use too much water because it will start to dissolve the meringue. Then, use a Wilton Tip 3 to pipe the eyes and mouth in black meringue. Next, the bodies of the jack-o'-lanterns are piped using a Wilton 4B tip. Then, a Wilton 21 tip is used to pipe the brown meringue for the stem on top of the pumpkin. Green meringue is piped using a Wilton 352 leaf tip to pipe a small leaf on the side of the stem. And finally, yellow meringue is piped using a Wilton Tip 3 or even Tip 2 to pipe faces onto the jack-o'-lanterns. For the next one, I decided to try to make witches' hats for the first time. Use a Wilton 1A piping tip to pipe black meringue into a flat circle on the parchment paper. Next, pipe black meringue in the center of the flat circle you just piped and release pressure as you pull up to create a point at the top. Then, use a Wilton Tip 3 to pipe a ring of purple meringue around the cone shape you just piped. Finally, use a Wilton Tip 3 to pipe yellow meringue to make a little buckle on the front of the witches' hats. Finally, use a Wilton 103 tip to pipe black meringue into roses. I definitely recommend having a flower nail and little squares of parchment paper like what you see here. It gives a lot more control while piping roses, or any other flower for that matter. This is the same technique when making buttercream flowers. To pipe a rose, make a mound of meringue in the middle of the parchment paper square. You can use a different piping tip, but I personally like to use the same tip because I can pipe roses faster that way. You're going to hold the petal tip with the large end aimed at the flower nail. With the pointed end of the piping tip facing away from you, pipe 3 petals around the top of the mound. Now, pipe 5 petals with the top of the tip pointing vertically towards the ceiling. And finally, the pointed end of the piping tip facing a little more toward you, pipe another 7 petals. Carefully remove the parchment square from the flower nail and place it onto the parchment paper lined baking sheet. Next, we're going to make some Halloween meringue pops. These are really easy to make and super cute. First, we're going to make some Bloody Bone meringue pops inspired by a Halloween sprinkle mix I recently purchased at Joann's. All you need are either some cookie or treat sticks. I decided to use these cute Halloween treat sticks. Use a small dollop of meringue to secure the treat stick to the parchment paper. Using a Wilton 1A tip to pipe, white meringue starting with 2 dollops side by side, followed by a thick straight line. and then 2 more dollops on the end. Next, take a small amount of red food gel and about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of extract such as raspberry and combine them in a small bowl. Dip the tip of a food paint brush in the red food color mixture. Hold the brush approximately 6 inches above the pipe meringue and hit the back of the brush to create a nice splatter effect. Our next meringue pops are cute little ghosts. Pipe white meringue using a Wilton 1A piping tip. Start by piping a dollop and then release pressure on the piping bag as you do a swooping motion. Continue this pattern until about 2/3 or 3/4 of the treat stick is covered with meringue. Then, use a Wilton tip 3 to pipe the eyes and mouth in black meringue. Lastly, use a Wilton 1M tip to pipe little dollops of black meringue on about 2/3 of a treat stick. Then, sprinkle some Halloween sprinkles onto the meringue pops. If you're loving these adorable sweet treats, make sure to hit that like button and click subscribe. And finally, we're going to make some Halloween meringue wreaths. Use a Wilton 1M tip to pipe little dollops of black meringue in a circle. I decided that I wanted to do small wreaths, so I placed a 3-inch circle template underneath the parchment paper to make it easier to get a nice small circle shape. You can either pipe just a single circle or pipe another ring of meringue inside to make a thicker wreath. Then sprinkle some Halloween sprinkles over the tops of the meringue wreaths and you're good to go. The best way to bake these meringues is to bake them at 195 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 2.5 to 3 hours, at which point you turn off the oven and then simply leave them overnight. These meringues are so cute, and I promise that you will wow your family and friends with these adorable, spectacular treats. You can find the printable recipe for my meringue cookies on my website, adventuresandyum.net. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time. If you like this video, please make sure to like and share. I put out new videos every Friday, so please subscribe to my channel for more fantastic treats and eats. Thank you so much for joining me today, and click right here for another great food adventure. I can't wait to see you for my next food video.